The number one reason why people struggle when it comes to creating great content that actually resonates is a lack of pillars. You have to have a strategy. If you don't have a strategy, you can't win. And that's what I'm going to talk about here today. We're going to give you 3 secrets to ultimately master your content pillars. And if you're watching this thinking, I don't know what the heck content pillars are, don't worry, I got you. So today we're talking pillars, we're talking content. This is a quick webinar to ultimately make sure that you're empowered with information that you need to know if you're going to be building out a strategy for your business. If you're going to be focusing on marketing in any way whatsoever, this is something you need to watch. Because I think that businesses that dominate their market are the ones who ultimately have effective content pillars. And if you stay with me for the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to make sure that you have the right information so that you can succeed. Now, I think many businesses, they're ultimately struggling with maybe just being overwhelmed with content creation. They're not sure what to sometimes say, how to stay relevant. A lack of focus also stresses yourself out, but also stresses your team out. If you're all over the place in terms of creating content, it's going to confuse your audience and it leads ultimately to lost sales. So we're going to talk content pillars, and I call these the strategic foundation. These are critical for your growth. And they're so important that I look at it in a simplified way. They ultimately are about making sure that you've got key themes or topics that you ultimately talk about. You don't deviate into all these other things that really don't make any sense. So an example I list here, is that a fitness brand might focus on nutrition, workouts, and mindset. There's certain things that are core to that. If you think about maybe even let's say a real estate agent. Real estate agent is going to be talking about what's going on in the market, maybe how to, help new home buyers and maybe people who are looking to move up or people who are looking to downsize. You got to pick your core themes essentially for your business. What makes sense for you to actually talk about? These are then the pillars that you base all of your marketing efforts around. I'm talking your social media, I'm talking videos, I'm talking if you go on podcasts, if your blog posts, any of your advertising needs to be centered around this. That if people look you up, they know what you talk about. Content pillars are critical. And I say they're critical for a number of reasons. First, I think it helps make the content creation process easier. You see, when you are really stuck to your core themes, the things that you're going to talk about, it becomes easier to be able to kind of go all in and focus. If you're all over the place, you might be talking one strategy to the next or one topic to the next. And it's just ultimately, it means that you're just kind of making no sense at all. So stay focused. Content pillars, I think, are the backbone of your strategy, and it's really core to what you do. It also helps simplify the process too when you are trying to create content. So have basically one strategy across all your platforms. And I'm going to reveal later on my strategy when it comes to my content pillars, what I do with my company, All In Content, because we're really focused on core areas that we're only going to talk about when it comes to any content that's put out there for the world to see. And you need to be doing the same, because it's going to make sure that no matter where someone finds you, you are consistent. But a lot of people struggle, and I know I was so guilty of this, what I call the scattergun approach, right? Where you're just kind of throwing everything against the wall and not really having a plan. You're talking about topics that you probably have no business talking about, and that is a major problem. Or maybe you fail to tie back your content to what your audience's problems are. If you're not, solving a problem as a business owner, well, you're probably not going to have much of a business either. And if this sounds familiar, don't worry, because I got you. I'm going to hook you up. I'm going to make sure that you are getting the insights that you need to make sure that you're successful. So here's the number one secret that I want to first start with, is that you have to know your audience inside and out when you're creating content. Because you're not creating content for every single person out there. You're creating it for your ideal client. So you got to follow these 3 steps. First, define their pain points. What are the things that are actually troubling your core ideal audience? What are the things that keep them up at night? What are the things that they're stressed out about? What are the major problems? Then you got to understand their goals. What do they want to achieve? Right? I look at my business that I do. I'm supporting small business owners throughout the Windsor-Essex region. And I know that many of them are struggling with consistency and they want to find more leads. That's the problem that they have. And their goal is to ultimately grow their business or grow their personal brand. And then the third point is that you have to map out their journey, right? How will they find you? What does that content flow look like? Where are they going to interact with your brand or your business in some way? So like a wedding photographer, as an example, they could focus on the bride's biggest worries, which is timelines, budgets, emotional moments, and they can then create content around those 3 core areas. Step 2, when it comes to focusing on content pillars, is to create what I call evergreen content themes. What can you create in terms of content that will always be in style? Don't just create content that's only for a particular season, but think about content that can continue to produce rewards well after the fact. I like to create a lot of evergreen content because I know that that content's always still going to be relevant. Now, there's times you're going to get super specific and maybe based on a certain time, you're going to be talking about certain content, but the stuff that can remain relevant over time is so beneficial. So whether that is like how-to guides, whether it's debunking myths, success stories, I think evergreen content is going to make sure that you're consistent and that no matter when somebody sees your content, it still is relevant. The third thing that you need to think about when you want to really master content pillars is to leverage video. That's going to maximize your reach. A couple quick things here in terms of a stat is that videos generate 1,200% more shares than text and images combined. And viewers also retain 95% of a video's message compared to 10% of text. So you need to be leveraging video. You need to be leveraging short, impactful videos that really resonate across all audiences. The challenge is a lot of people don't know how to create their content pillars, and that's what I want to share with you here today. A lot of people are using AI, they're using ChatGPT, and what I've put on the screen here is the ultimate prompt to create content pillars in your business. I'm going to read this one out, and I don't like to read when we're doing presentations, but this one's important. So I want you to do this. Go into ChatGPT and say, content pillars are 4 topics your brand will consistently discuss, amplify, and create content for on social media. Create 4 content pillars for whatever your target audience is that showcase my area of expertise, and then put in whatever that area of expertise is. For each content pillar generated, I want you to explain why this is important to create content on and why it will attract my target audience, and write down subtopics. Be very specific for each pillar and straightforward. So you take that prompt, you're going to put it into good old ChatGPT, and then you're going to get some amazing results back. So let me show you what I wrote. So my example here at All In Content. Content pillars are 4 topics your brand will consistently discuss, amplify, and create content for on social media. Create 4 content pillars using this target audience and knowledge learned about for All In Content that showcases our area of expertise, which is video batch creation for small businesses and solopreneurs in the Windsor-Essex region. Now, I have to stop here for a second. The reason that I'm saying for what it is already learned about is because ChatGPT with the pro version has already retained information about my company. They know who I'm already targeting, which is business owners in the Windsor-Essex region. And then of course I've asked it then as a prompt to continue to, explain why it's important and to ultimately, help come up with content ideas. The benefit of that is that it spit out the following content pillars for me, which is relevant based on what it knows about me. So my content pillars at All In Content, what I focus on are video batching. So I'm doing a lot of content around how to batch create your content. I do a lot on video strategies. What are the ways that you can leverage video in your business? I do a lot on just content creation in general. And then because I'm a big believer in betting on yourself and going all in and sometimes firing your boss, I also talk about betting on yourself because this is all connected. Because if it wasn't for content creation, I would never have had the confidence to bet on myself and create my company. I went all in on content and it changed my life, and it's changed obviously the lives of other people that I've been able to touch and work with. And I'm able to help businesses now grow and thrive. So here's kind of the framework that I want everyone to kind of do. When I talk about content pillars, it's this. My all-in content pillar framework for every business is this, is that you have to identify 3 to 5 core pillars. What are the 3 to 5, no more than that, core topics you're going to talk about? I like even numbers, so I do 4, but if you want to do 5, you can do 5. If you want to do 3, you can do 3, but don't do any more or less than this. And then batch create content around these pillars, both written and video. By written, I mean blogs. So think of it this way. Let's do 4. Let's do 4 for easy numbers. Say you take 4 pillars, then you ultimately have got 4 different types of content maybe you could do every single week in terms of your website. You could do 4 different blog posts towards each of those pillars. Then you could also do videos based on that. Maybe you could do 4 videos a week based on the different pillars that you have. It gives you a way just to be more organized, and then distribute it across your different platforms using whatever strategy makes sense. Maybe you don't want to do one every day. Maybe certain days are themed with certain types of content, or every so often you're dropping stuff around a certain theme or pillar that you have. But like when you do this, you just, again, become more organized, and it just makes more sense, and you're starting to train your audience as well. And again, it can be videos. It can be other static image posts that you create. It could be podcast episodes. It could be blog posts. It could be any kind of content that you can imagine. When you use content pillars, it can be a game changer for you. Final words that I want to share here today is that I think that if you invest in your content pillars now today, if you come up with a strategy, it's going to help you tomorrow and every day after. It is something that a lot of people don't put any time and effort into thinking about, but you need to when you are growing your business, when you're wanting to put yourself out there consistently. And the more that you do this, you are going to be more prepared. And when you're prepared, you're going to win. So if you are looking for help and you want assistance on creating content pillars in your business, I have got a QR code here that you can select to book a free consultation with me today. Happy to give you some tips and tricks and some different ways to kind of level set whether the content pillars that we created here using this ChatGPT prompt will work for you, and maybe come up with different ideas as well to hopefully, give you enough content that you can be set up for months of consistency and that you are flowing and going always. So my final words are this, is that if you're going to go all in and win. And the best way to win is to make sure that you're organized and you have a plan. And content pillars are those plans that you need to maximize and use as part of your strategy.